AD, what's up, buddy? How was your New Year?
I was good, man. I was in sunny Orlando watching LSU with a very stress-free afternoon drill Purdue. So
Boy,
not
I mean,
too
how
bad
did
of
we
a.
not see that coming? I don't know. I didn't bet on the game
Oh,
because, well, no, I did bet.
Wait, I
but
was like,
no, no,
what?
no. But I'm saying I didn't bet on the point spread, 15-point spread, because I was just like, I just want to be able to enjoy. If LSU
take
wins
the
by
under.
14, I don't want to, I don't want to be pissed. So instead, I'll just go with a safe bet, take the under.
which LSU covered by itself.
Which I was down like halfway through the third. I was out
That's
of
why you
that
got a
one.
live bet. You got to hop on the other
Oh,
side.
no, I did. And then I lost that one. I lost it at 54 and a half and 59 and a half. JD, that looked like 1999 West Monroe versus 2022 Menard High. It was a mismatch of talent, abilities. Purdue almost looked like LSU was going to hurt Purdue. Like they didn't even look like the quarterbacks for Purdue look like Lloyd. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't even look like they could bench press 225 once.
Bench press 225 twice, coach. Got it
There you
up.
go. There you
Once, and then,
Well, it was funny down the sidelines, Jumbo, talking to Gordy Rush during the game, and Gordy goes, "Yeah, they're trying to build this Austin Burton as a dual threat quarterback." And one of the first plays, he rolls out and thinks he's getting away from Harold Perkins Jr. And that thing closed so quickly. I mean, that was
Perkins
just
showed
one example.
But he just pushed his man
of
out
the
of bounds.
speed differential in the game. And I know Purdue had lost a lot, basically all their offensive firepower, and I know their defense wasn't great, but I guess I expected their defense to put up a little more resistance. But LSU really could have picked their score in the game. So it was a blast. Certainly the most hilarious, most unique celebration ever, jumping on top of the Cheez-It mascot on the Cheez-It couch on the sideline and having Jamar Kane run over to break it up, and Coach Kelly saying, "Hey, let these guys have some fun." So, good afternoon to win 10 games and, move into 2023.
Yeah, I mean it's good to get that 10th win and kind of chalk that up, and all that. I mean, what kind of crowd did LSU have? I mean, how many people did they bring? Did we ever hear a number?
I'd been to that bowl game in 2016 and 2017, and it was never tremendously attended. But still, I mean, I think it's a 65,000 seat stadium. So, I mean, if LSU brought 10, 15,000 fans, which I guess they did at least, I mean, you can't really blame the fan base there. Certainly when they go back there in 8 months to play Florida State to kick off the year and the season opener, both teams could be ranked in the top 10, and I would expect that place to be totally packed, so a sold-out crowd. The Florida State-Oklahoma Cheez-It Bowl a few days before that drew a big crowd, I think, in the 60s. But it was a lot of LSU fans went. I can't say it was a bad showing by LSU. A lot more Purdue fans, I think, made the trip. Of course, they're freezing up there, and so to get down to temperatures in the 80s and palm trees, they certainly jumped all over that, and they stayed even though their team was getting throttled. Most of them stayed till the end.
Anybody talk to Drew Brees? About like if he wants to get. I know he mentioned earlier that he was just doing this to help Purdue and he wasn't going to be coaching college. But do you think he coaches pro one day?
In the press conference before, he was asked, and he said, "This is a one-timer. I am not interested in becoming, a full-time coach." And Ronnie, that coaching is a grind. I mean, if you get into this full-time, it's not like, hey, I just show up on game day and we have some fun. So I don't know. I mean, certainly he was trying to make lemonade out of lemons there with the quarterbacks he was working with, but it was entertaining after the game. His kids were getting autographs from LSU players down in the tunnel there, while LSU players were getting autographs from Drew Brees on the field after the game. So it was cool to see him, but I had to listen to what he said in the press conference. He's not interested in being a coach.
One person who probably didn't get an autograph was DeMario Tolan, since he did not make the trip for LSU. Have you heard anything as to why he entered the portal? LSU linebacker freshman that had seen significant playing time, seemed like he had a big role coming into 2023, doesn't make the trip, is now in the transfer portal.
Okay, Ronnie's coming in clear. Lloyd, you're coming in like bathroom audio.
He's asking you about Tolan. Do you have any inside scoop as to maybe what happened to the freshman linebacker, as to why he's unhappy and entered the portal or anything?
Ronnie, I was lazy with that. I didn't really research it.
Okay.
I know he didn't play in.
Look at those
I know he didn't
Emmys
play
back
in the
there.
bowl game. And that was in his hometown. I mean, certainly through the year, Coach Kelly had referenced him as pushing some of the other linebackers for playing time. So it is, it makes you scratch your head a little bit of why he's leaving. And certainly LSU needs linebackers. I mean, it's not like he didn't have an opportunity to play. So I don't know if there's something that he did off the field or what happened there.
I'll tell a story real quick. It's tough, man. When you're a freshman in college, it doesn't matter if you're a football player, baseball player, or if you're just Stacy from Iowa, who's a freshman in college, that's living in a dorm. I mean, your first year, especially your first semester of college, you probably have shed some tears. You're probably missing your friends or girlfriend or boyfriend back home. You're probably, it's just an adjustment. It's tough. It's hard. And so it doesn't always necessarily have to be some, probably school's tough and things like that. And the workload, imagine being a college athlete at LSU and having to balance all, everything we talk about, school and working out, and you're not the big dog anymore and it's harder and you got to be patient. Like, it's just tough. It doesn't matter the sport. I've seen many, many people struggle with that first semester in college. And, and then nowadays where the portal is just so easy, you're going to see this more and more and more. And that's the scary thing. You start recruiting these kids at 15 years old. You hold their hand all through college. You get that commitment. Then they come. You got to recruit them to stay. At what point do you get to treat them like adults and discipline them and make it tough? Instead, it's just patting them on the rear the whole time. It's a bad deal right now. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to want to be a college coach these days.
Yeah, and then there's the companies, Ronnie, that invest in these guys to get them on campus to begin with, and then 3 or 4 months later they bounce and leave. And
right.
You're hearing stories from companies about the players that don't live up to their obligation. They were supposed to do this, supposed to do that. They don't do it, and so I mean, it's a really slippery slope. And as we've seen, it's going into high school now. I know Gordon McKernan has at least 3 high school athletes that he has on NIL deals as well. So it's a matter of how mature the kids are. Can they handle it, or are we gonna create some monsters?
Well, speaking of paying for people to stay on campus, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but
doesn't look like you can.
Yeah. What's going on with why can't you hear me?
Can you hear Lloyd?
Can you hear Lloyd at all, Jacques?
I can hear him, but it's like he's coming off of Ronnie's mic and not his own mic. But I'm gonna do my best.
We're gonna switch mics here.
There we go. Well, I just wanted to ask. You talked about people getting paid to play. Obviously, you see the John Emery news with Gordon McKernan. Is that an announcement that feels like John Emery's coming back? And is that a get Gordon, get it done situation?
I hope Alex doesn't mind re-referencing him, but Alex Ludwig, I think, is in charge of their marketing and whatnot. And I texted him last night. I said, does that mean that John Emery's staying? And he said, I hope so. I honestly have no clue, though. The way he worded that, people will think he is. So I think John Emery obviously is a big X factor in next year's team.
Huge.
As he decided
X
to
factor.
come back or not.
Yeah, he's a triple X factor.
Oh.
I mean, I'm just saying it's that big.
That's Kayshawn.
Oh, that's right. That's good. That's good. Really good, Lloyd.
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Yeah.
Lloyd.
That was great.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, Jacques, here's the thing is that, when you do an agreement with a company for NIL, and I'm just assuming, I haven't done an NIL deal with anybody, although the Rougarou is going to be doing something this spring.
Nice.
We're working on that.
Guy.
Working on that. But the thing is that when you do a deal, like it's kind of like when you hire a guy to come fix the toilet, right? The plumber comes to your house. You don't pay him when he walks in the door. You pay him after he fixes the toilet. So, I mean, hey, you want my money? If I'm Gordon, hey, you want my money? After you do your 10 posts, I'll give you the check. You know what I mean? And so maybe this Emery is just him doing his due diligence to get paid from what he was supposed to have done this fall.
Oh, from like the
as part of the
previous year?
original deal,
Yeah.
right?
Makes
It doesn't
sense.
necessarily mean there's a new deal. It means he's maybe just living up to the deal he currently has.
Yeah.
It says for the 2023 year, though. Let's
Yeah.
get it done for 2023.
Yeah.
It does
So
say
that seems like
Okay.
if you really like, I don't
really
even feel
reading
like
into
reading
it.
between the lines at all. It's just, but after you have the Kayshawn announcement where he put out a post that felt like he was coming back for his senior year, and you see him then obviously go back on that, and then he goes to the draft. So it's hard to take.
Jacques, as a lifelong LSU guy and a guy who's covered the Tigers since your KLAX days in Alexandria, which makes Lloyd proud.
Clacks.
Clacks.
Clacks, baby. So, I mean, and you're you're a fan as well as a journalist. My question is, like, for me personally, I'll straight up, like college football right now is oogie for me. Like, it's not enjoyable. Like, even being an LSU fan, it's just so gross. There's no loyalty. The players don't care. They don't even know what college they're at. It's all about show me the Benjamins. It's not even 1-year contracts. It's a semester contract, right? You can leave any point. You can come at any point. Like, it's just ugh. Are you feeling that at this point? Because you cover it so intensely 24/7.
Yeah, well, I used to think that LSU football, I mean, the movie Rudy, really, you could make that an LSU movie, right? I would give anything to run out of that tunnel. I would, anything to get into one, if you grew up in Louisiana, you just dream of running out of the Tiger Stadium tunnel on Saturday night and whatnot. And, it maybe seems more and more that it's like, yeah, so what? What you got for me? And, I hate to hear the word meaningless too. That's a meaningless game. Why should I play in that or whatnot? And so, yeah, you're hearing lots of stories. NIL deals that get signed, and then the player starts having a good year, and then they go back to the person and say, hey, I'm having a good year. What you going to do about that? In terms of like, hey, I need more money, bump it up. And so, I think it's becoming more and more the concept of team is really under attack, in my opinion. That's the way I've kind of summed it up. And certainly I'm all for players, being able to cash in on their name, image, and likeness and to earn money in college and whatnot. At the same time, they're not really paying for anything at the same time. Their education is free. Their food is free. Their housing is free. All this stuff. And so really, even if you get an NIL deal for $65,000, that's like going down to LeBear's, Ronnie Wright, and hitting it big, one night and walking away with the big
and
check.
We do see a lot of them there with their NIL money, going for the big, right? Anyway.
Yeah, and if you're successful at LSU, right, you have a great chance, as you did, of saying, oh, yeah, you're Ronnie Rance, the former LSU pitcher, or, you're Jacob Hester, the LSU legendary running back, in business and opportunities moving forward that LSU provides. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a fine line, between being, okay, I'm an old guy and this is the way things used to be, and somebody finally stepping up and saying, okay, look, we understand change, but we need to somehow, manage this or whatnot, because there are no NIL police. I asked Coach Kelly in Orlando about it, and I said, well, who's going to be the first guy to get slapped on the hand or hit by the NCAA that said, okay, there was a paper play situation at this school, and he just said, we don't expect the NCAA to step in on anything NIL. So who is? There's no NIL police. And the transfer portal and whatnot, yes, there are cases where you get better opportunities and you move on and you further your career. But I think Drew Brees also, if we can't listen to Drew Brees, who do we listen to? And Drew Brees talking about, you need to fail, you need to have adversity, and you don't need to be handed everything right away to get yourself better as a human being. Because once you get into the workforce and your career ends, then obviously, you can't run from those things. So I'm kind of with you to an extent, the Todd Kinchins and the Brian Kinchins and, the Wendell Davises and the people we grew up on who just loved LSU football and would play for free and all that. That is becoming less and less a reality, I think.
Well, one of those guys who likes LSU football at this stage more than I thought, and I'm surprised, is Nussmeier. I'll keep waiting for Garrett Nussmeier as the name to jump into the portal, but they played him in the bowl game. You heard Kelly talking about him. We're not just giving the job to Daniels. We're going to let him have a competition. Are you shocked by this, that he's still on the team at this point?
I wouldn't say I'm shocked. I guess they're selling him on the aspect that LSU is going to be a power next year offensively and as a team, and they will have a legitimate shot of making a college football playoff if they can replace their defensive personnel, especially in the front seven, and move forward. That that he can be a part of it. For whatever reason, last year Brian Kelly and his staff did an amazing job of carrying all four quarterbacks from the spring into mid-August. The one guy that left, it was August the 15th, was Miles Brennan, and the other three stayed on the roster. And I'm sure that in some instances, maybe Nussmeier or Walker Howard or others thought that Jaden Daniels was going to be a placeholder, that this year was going to be a rough year, that they needed an experienced quarterback just to bridge them through it. Hey, let's try to get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game, and then the next young person will step in and we'll manage that person going forward, whether it was Garrett Nussmeier or Walker Howard. Well, look, they're all three there, and you got a fourth coming in Ricky Collins. So I'm not surprised at the moment about that. Let's get through the spring. Let's see what happens. But, they're going to do a great job at press conferences and whatnot in the spring and what they say, making this seem like all three of those guys have a chance to start. And, Jaden Daniels, Coach Kelly said after the game, he's a starter, no controversy. He's our guy. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be something we talk about for a long time because Jaden Daniels, as we've talked about many times, he was named the MVP of the LSU team. If he's not on the team this year, things could be a lot worse, I think. But at the same time, they need to utilize their wide receivers and utilize their talent better down the field. I think we all know that.